2 years ago, my life felt like it was running on autopilot, and not in a good way. I'd wake up tired, hit snooze, scroll for way too long, drag myself through the day, come home drained, order something unhealthy, binge shows until midnight, sleep, repeat. It felt like I was existing, not living. I kept waiting for a breakthrough moment, some big burst of motivation that would magically fix everything. It never came. What actually changed my life was something almost embarrassingly small. I decided to improve by just 1% each day. Not 50%, not a total reinvention, just 1%. Here's the crazy part. If something improves by 1% every single day for a year, it doesn't just grow a little, it multiplies massively. Small gains stack, they build on each other. What looks tiny in the moment becomes dramatic over time. But here's the truth most people miss. The power isn't in the math, it's in identity. Every small action you take is a signal to yourself about who you are. When you tidy your bed, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who cares about order. When you read one page, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who learns. When you stretch for 5 minutes, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who values their health. Your habits are votes, and your life reflects the winner. Back then, my mornings were a mess. Alarm rings, snooze, snooze again, finally roll out of bed already feeling behind. Phone in hand, social media, 30, sometimes 60 minutes gone. No breakfast, rush out the door, stress before the day even started. Before 9 a.m., I had already cast multiple votes for distraction, chaos, and reacting instead of leading. I wasn't lazy, I wasn't incapable. I was just reinforcing the wrong version of myself every single morning. So instead of trying to transform my life overnight, I made it stupidly simple. First change. I moved my phone charger out of my bedroom. That's it. If I wanted my phone, I had to physically get up and leave the room. That tiny friction created space, silence before noise. Second change. I placed a glass of water next to my bed every night. So when I woke up, my first action wasn't scrolling, it was hydrating. That small shift changed the tone of my mornings. After about a week, something interesting happened. Because I wasn't drowning in content immediately, I started noticing how I actually felt. Because I started with one healthy choice, it became easier to make another. So I added one more tiny habit. I made my bed. Not because it's magical, but because it's a completed task before the day even begins. 3 micro changes, maybe 2 minutes total, but they shifted my identity from scattered to intentional. When my mornings improved, I looked at my nights. Instead of falling into endless scrolling and late-night streaming, I created a simple shutdown routine. At 9 p.m., I set a reminder labeled Power Down. When it goes off, screens off. Not forever, just for the final hour of my day. Then I lay out tomorrow's clothes. 30 seconds. Then I write down 3 things that went well. Not a long journal, just 3 wins. This trained my brain to look for progress instead of problems. After a month, the compounding effect became obvious. Because I slept better, I had more energy. Because I had more energy, I made better decisions. Because I made better decisions, I trusted myself more. The changes started feeding each other. So I applied the same principle at work. Instead of writing endless to-do lists, I picked 3 priority tasks each morning. Just 3. If those were done, the day counted as a win. I stopped checking email constantly and set specific times to handle it. I took short 5-minute walks between major tasks. Nothing dramatic, just small resets. And something unexpected happened. As I became slightly more organized, I became slightly less stressed. As I became slightly less stressed, I became easier to be around. So I applied the 1% idea to relationships too. One meaningful question during conversations, one thoughtful message per week, tiny deposits, big emotional returns. Now, let me be honest, this wasn't perfect. Some mornings I overslept, some nights I fell back into bad habits, some days everything collapsed. But here's what I learned. Success isn't about never slipping. It's about shortening the recovery time. Miss a day, get back the next day. Bad meal, make the next one better. One unproductive afternoon, win the evening. Don't turn mistakes into identities. 6 months later, my life didn't look completely different overnight. It looked different because of hundreds of small choices that stocked up. My mornings felt calm. My work felt focused. My evenings felt intentional. My relationships felt deeper. But the biggest transformation wasn't external. It was how I saw myself. I stopped seeing myself as someone who struggles with discipline. I started seeing myself as someone who keeps small promises. And that changes everything. So here's where you start. Pick one area of your life that feels stuck. Now shrink your improvement until it feels almost too easy. Want to work out? Start by putting on your shoes. Want to read? Read one paragraph. Want to eat better? Drink one glass of water before meals. If it feels almost too small, that's perfect. That's sustainable. Here's the truth. The person you are today is built from the tiny habits you repeated yesterday. The person you become next year will be built from the tiny habits you start tomorrow. So the real question is, who are you becoming through your daily choices? Drop a comment and tell me your 1% starting point. What's one small action you'll take tomorrow morning? If this message helped you rethink growth, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe for more practical strategies on building a better life, slowly, intentionally, and sustainably. You don't need a dramatic reinvention. You just need to be slightly better than yesterday, and you can start today.